Hello and welcome to Honest Faith Conversations. As always, I am your co-host, Miguel Covarrubias.
And I am Kathy Covarrubias. And today, let's talk about Home Alone.
If you listened to our episode last week, or if you became a Patreon subscriber to ours, you are now listening to the episode that we just recorded after our last episode of Christmas specials. We did Muppet Christmas Carol last week, and this week we are doing Home Alone. And we are actually recording these at the same time, so we just finished recording that episode, and now we're recording Home Alone.
Yes.
So with that being said, we are saying happy holidays to all of you. This is another Christmas movie, but as we said last week, there aren't a whole lot of holiday-themed movies for other holidays.
There's not too much out there because, I mean, it's the United States. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Kwanzaa or Hanukkah movies or Yule movies or
no, none of that.
I mean, unless you're going to watch movies with Yul Brynner in it during Yule, which then it could be a Yule movie, but.
Oh, my lordy. Okay, Miguel, let's move on.
Okay.
Anyway, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. So, our brief summary and review. Summary is, kid gets left alone at Christmas time, and some robbers try to rob the house. He successfully defends the house.
Good job.
Thank you.
My summary, little kid gets left home alone on accident due to a lot of people's errors. Not just one person, but a lot of people's error. And the adults aren't very responsible. No adult is very responsible in this movie. And he is left home alone for a couple of days. And shop clerks don't ask why he's going, like, shopping by himself, like other adults seeing him by himself. And they don't
did, in fairness.
But she didn't follow up on it. She's not like, hey, maybe I should call, like, you know, the police or the, like, child services and see what's going on with this kid. Anyway, I have a lot of issues with the adults in this movie. And then some burglars, bandits, the wet bandits to be precise, try to rob his house, and he hurts them in very horrible ways that would, in real life, actually send them to the hospital with, like, major stuff.
Kill them.
Yeah, would kill them.
Several times over.
Yeah, so could be a murderer. Anyway, that's my summary.
I mean, seriously, have you ever been shot with a BB gun? It hurts.
It hurts.
Like, it can break the skin.
Like, I've had major welts and, like, huge bruises. Yeah.
Yeah. He could have killed them.
Yes.
Several times over.
Yes.
My review is, I loved this movie for a long time. It was my childhood, growing up with this movie at Christmas time.
Every kid wanted to defend their house from burglars.
Oh, yeah. And, now watching it as an adult, it's really different. I think watching it as an adult parent it takes a lot of the joy out of it. It's a little more frustrating and it's really, it ruins the movie in a sense a little bit.
Yeah, there was a couple, like, well, as I was watching it, like, I would, like, exclaim something like that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? And, like, why didn't they notice this? Like, there was some very obvious, like, in real life this would never happen scenarios. Even in the 90s this would never happen.
A very entertaining YouTube channel is called Cinema Sins. A guy just goes through and points out all the bad things in movies. He did an episode on Home Alone, which I think there were a lot more that he missed in this movie. There are a ton of things wrong with this movie.
Well, the video itself for him is 15 minutes long. I feel like if he did every single mistake, it would be like a good half an hour.
Or just, the entire movie.
It would be the entire movie.
The entire movie. Which is not to say that the movie isn't good. It is fun. It is,
It is entertaining.
It's entertaining, but it's now watching it as an adult, you're more kind of like, well, yeah, the McAllisters aren't great people, and they didn't write women very well in the 90s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was my big problem, I think, with it, the entire movie, is that I'm realizing that the mom's character, Kate, is not a fully fledged character.
No.
In a movie about her family.
She just plays the I don't know, concerned mom trope.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Which this movie does pass the Bechdel test, but I also still think it's kind of
it just barely passes, though.
Not a very good picture of women in this movie.
Yeah. No. Well, one, there's not very many women in the movie. They all seem to be just very one-dimensional characters, but I also feel like that was just Hollywood at the time, unfortunately. We have come a long way. We're continuing to come a long way, so I just have hope for the future on that front.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, that's a little bit more review than we probably needed to do, but...
That's okay. We have a lot of feelings about this movie.
We do have a lot of feelings. And I really wanted to focus on the theme of the movie, which is courage. And I think that I'm going to tie in a little bit of Game of Thrones into this because I can.
What?
I am bringing this in because of what Bran asked very early on to Ned Stark. He says, can a man still be brave if he is afraid? And Ned says to Bran is that is the only time when a man can be brave. That's the only time you can be brave is in the face of fear. And I think that, especially this movie, that's precisely what the theme is. It's about courage in the face of fear. Mm-hmm. It's about being brave. And for poor little Kevin, who really is not that poor in a couple of senses of the word.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that he's afraid of as an 8-year-old that, really seems silly, like the furnace or the old man that lives next door to him that his brother says is a mass murderer. And as we just talked about understanding people, mm-hmm. is that they don't fully understand the guy next door until that scene in the church.
Well, and my problem with that one scene, if I could just interject just real
Sure.
quick, Kevin acts as though he didn't know about the neighbor. Like, wouldn't his brother have said something about it before, or wouldn't this be like the family speculation? Like, why is this news to Kevin?
Well, I know how long have they been living next to him?
I know.
And how long has that old guy just been there? Like, did the McAllister family move into this house before Kevin was born, or and how long has that old guy lived next door to them?
Yes, or has it been I don't know. There's just so many things, but that's just one thing. I was like, why is Kevin acting as if he doesn't know this? This, it's just an old man who's
exposition.
Nice. I know he's just being nice and de-icing the sidewalk. Why does there have to be a motive anyway?
Yeah, and I think that. I think ultimately this ties in with us as human beings, especially around the holidays, is that there are so many anxieties that are put into place for us. It's because it's the end of the year, and we all have these expectations for the end of the year. Like it's going to be better next year, or we have these New Year's resolutions that we are going to be coming upon, and that we are kind of afraid to even face those things. That especially me as a person who has generalized anxiety disorder and has PTSD, that overcoming those things is difficult, and that's something that I think that I want to classify myself now as brave. Is that my day-to-day life, it takes a brave person to be me, because and toot my own horn for a little bit here, but because living with those things, it makes you so afraid of just these little things that, like for instance, if you get a message from your boss or you get a message from somebody saying, we need to talk. By the way, for a person with anxiety, that will send you into an immediate spiral. That will well up the anxiety in the pit of your stomach. And if those of you who have anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, like, you get the sweats, your heart begins racing, you begin to feel sick,
like filling all these scenarios in your head of like, oh my gosh, what could it be? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, just going back through your memories, thinking like, is it because like last Monday I forgot to empty the coffee? Yeah.
Well, and especially for me, who, that my PTSD is triggered from that, because my traumatic stresses were from that. Were from getting messages from my boss saying we need to talk in my office tomorrow morning, and being fired. Mm-hmm. And since that happened 3 times to me, is that, of course, that small message is going to be triggering for me. And, now recently, since, I'm now working in a much healthier environment, and, I'm no longer working for the church where, you could be fired for, any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, sneezing and you offend somebody.
Exactly. And then you're going to be fired for it. But now working in a place that, when your boss messages you that, oh, we need to talk, is, oh, yeah, we're just going to say how you've been doing and what you need from me to better do your own work.
Yep. Or I haven't talked to you in a while and I just wanted to see how you're doing.
Yeah. Which, it's for me, it does take a lot of bravery. And I think this is something that I really feel for Kevin. I think that Kevin as an adult, this is something that maybe another movie needs to be made with Macaulay Culkin as an adult now. I think that Kevin McAllister as an adult, after these traumatic events as a child, being left alone at home in Chicago, and then going to New York and being alone in New York. Was it his father's credit card? I don't even remember what the plot from Home Alone 2 was.
I'm not sure.
I know that it's streaming, and Home Alone 1 is not streaming, which I find is odd. But Home Alone 2 is streaming, so if you want to, it's pretty much the same movie. So, but I want to see a movie where they make about Kevin McAllister as an adult and now coping with these traumatic issues as an adult. I'm sure he has PTSD, has a disorder where he has anxiety around Christmas, especially because he almost dies twice at Christmas time. I'm not going to even consider Home Alone 4 as canon, even though it is Kevin McAllister and he's younger and his parents are divorcing, and it was a bad made-for-TV movie.
I didn't even know. I knew that like Home Alone 3, he wasn't in it at all.
Yeah, it was not McAllister. Mm-mm. But Home Alone 4 is Kevin McAllister and his parents are separating, are divorcing, and so it was a bad movie. I'm not considering it canon.
Sounds good to me.
Home Alone canon. So it's going to be a fandom thing now. People are going to be Home Alone-dians. Home Alone.
I don't know. I know that there's people who like they watch Home Alone every single Christmas. Like this is their thing that they watch.
It's pretty close for me. Mm-hmm. I think there's maybe like 1 or 2 Christmases that I have not yet seen.
Well, I don't know. And now that you are an adult and you watched it through like an adult parent eyes.
Yeah, it's not going to be on my list for next year.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I mean, Die Hard may make it back onto my list next year, but you don't agree with me that it's a Christmas movie.
If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Harry Potter's a Christmas movie.
Okay, all right. We'll just
because it happens on Christmas doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
There's a lot more Christmas in the movie than just taking place at Christmas.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Moving on. Well, and I think this is very much true about the holidays, that the holidays are a time for bravery. It's time for you to, because especially, like I talked about last week with the Christmas Carol, or a few minutes ago if you're us right now.
Or if you're a member on Patreon.
Yeah. Is that it really does take that this is the time of the year for most people to take that message of compassion and love to heart, is that they're going to be doing that. So you have a much better chance of coming out of it unscathed than you would any other time of the year.
True.
That if you're brave at Christmas, if you come out as, LGBTQ plus or or even come out as not really going to church anymore to your very religious family or anything else like that. As we talked before in the Big Sick episode, that, you have a much better chance of saying to your family, yeah, you can't get rid of me. I'm still going to be part of your family.
Yep.
So, and I think that it is a time of the year for you to be brave, because it is the season of the heart, the season of living and loving and giving and compassion, where really your family's not going to be as much jerkish as the McAllisters are.
Yeah. So let's talk about the real problem.
Okay.
Let's talk about the real problem here. So throughout the whole entire movie, like the whole issue is placed upon the mom. Like the mom forgot him. Like the mom, like she's the one that has to fix it. She's the one that's a bad parent. And also, like, Kevin gets called a jerk too at the very beginning of the movie. But
well, I just have to say, at the side, Uncle Frank is like a horrid human being.
Yes! I would never call, especially an 8-year-old niece or nephew who got a little upset. They made a mess. I mean, I wouldn't call them a jerk because of it. I'd be like, okay, there was a different way to handle this, obviously. But I wouldn't, like, call them a jerk about it.
No, I'd, like, go over and help them pick off, like, toppings off of one of the pizzas so that they can have the cheese pizza to the, slices.
Or, I don't know. The adults in this movie did not handle the situation very adult-like. Like, they acted exactly like the children were reacting. Like, they were super rude to Kevin. They were calling him names, calling him stupid. And he honestly was like, I need help. Can somebody please help me? I need help. And they were making fun of him for it. And nobody should be made fun of for asking for help. Even if you find it very trivial, don't make fun of somebody just because they're asking for your help.
Yeah, like what 8-year-old are you going to trust with packing their own bag to go to France?
And maybe his sister was right. Maybe his mom was just going to end up packing the bag anyway. However, he could have at least gotten it started, or somebody could have been like, okay, well, we're going to be gone for, 5 days. So make sure you have at least 5 of everything. Something just to give him a baseline to start with, at least a little bit of instruction. And I was also very upset with him being punished for reacting to his brother teasing him when his brother didn't get punished at all.
I know, and this is the thing in Home Alone 2 is that Buzz still doesn't get punished. By the way, the parents should have been punished for naming their child Buzz. And I get that Buzz Lightyear is a thing, and I get that Buzz Aldrin is nicknamed Buzz. Mm-hmm. That is not his real name. But still, naming your kid Buzz, you're kind of asking for trouble.
Yeah. And giving him that crew cut. Like, yeah. And letting him own a tarantula. But anyway. I don't see any parent, like, punishing Buzz for doing what he was doing. I mean, he was being just such a bully to him. Mm-hmm. He was being such a bully to Kevin. And everybody saw it. Everybody knew it. And nobody saved Kevin a piece of cheese pizza. No one did. Like, I don't know. Like, that just really rubbed me the wrong way. Like all of the reactions for the negative things are being obviously pointed towards the wrong people.
Well, I think that, as like we talked about a little bit in our Christmas Carol episode, is that I don't think that anybody's really taking enough time to imagine Kevin as complexly as they should.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think they see him as a person, really.
Yeah.
No one is seeing Kevin as a person. That's why, like, no one checked in on him in the attic. People knew he was in the attic. People knew that's where he was. But no one bothered to just, like... Didn't one adult just do a quick sweep of the house?
Well, I mean, granted, this would end up being a very short movie if they did, but... Yeah, but still, like, in real life, when we go on trips, I at least go around the house once, make sure all of the proper lights are off. If we're leaving on any lights, all of those are on. Yeah.
I go around, make sure everything is fine, and then we leave. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I would be able to miss a person by going around the house and making sure everything is fine before we leave.
We may end up forgetting our dog, but, you know.
Oh, I don't think we'll forget Luke. We'll never forget Luke. And no one is either asking, like why Kevin is reacting the way he is either. Like, nobody's going, hey, Kevin, so why did you push Buzz? Like, hey, Kevin, why do you feel this way? I know that you're upset with everybody, but, like, why are you upset with everybody? Nobody's willing to listen to him. His mom kind of does have a little bit of a conversation with him, like, on the way up to the attic.
About Fuller, yeah.
Yeah, but he's still being punished. I don't know. That just...
Yeah, and Buzz doesn't get punished. Buzz doesn't get punished in the second movie either.
Well, I guess the parenting styles of today are very different than the parenting styles of the 90s. I don't know if this is, you know, what was common. I mean, yes, I was a child in the 90s, but I guess this would be a parenting style, because there was a couple of times where like the thing that I got punished for ultimately started with something that my little sister did. Or ultimately started with something that one of my older sisters did. But yet, I was the one that got punished.
You're the one that took it too far?
I didn't take it too far.
Okay, I'm just...
I don't think Kevin took it too far. I mean, he's 8. He can't really control his feelings like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and obviously nobody is telling him, hey, when, you know, your brother is being a jerk, you need to, you know, tell somebody, or if he's being a jerk, like, you need to, you know, stand up for yourself in a different way.
Yeah. And can we talk about Peter McAllister in this? Like, he is like, he did a lot of this. Mm-hmm. He is to blame for a lot of this, and I'm really kind of upset with the trope of the stupid father who doesn't really pay attention to anything.
Yeah.
That you know, Peter, like, he drops the 2-liter of soda, or 3-liter of soda.
He doesn't even drop it. Like, instead of just like, I understand when stuff happens and, like, you know, oh my gosh, there's spilt milk everywhere. First of all, why is there so many cups of milk on the counter? You just fill them up for everybody who needs one, and then you don't fill up any more. And if they want more, then you pour it into the same glass. But anyway, there's just so many things wrong with this movie.
I know, and he's so concerned about the passports, yet he entirely ignores Kevin's ticket.
Yes.
And he forgets to close the garage, but the cars are like halfway out of the garage anyway, so how could he have closed the garage if the cars are halfway out of the garage?
I don't know. And also, like, if he was so concerned about the passports, like, did kids not need passports, like, in the early 90s to travel across the country? Or across the world?
Yeah, what do he and Kate do for a living that they're able to afford that house?
Yes, and a trip to Paris.
And a trip to Miami the next year, I guess, is in that timeline.
And, like, almost, like, $130 worth of pizza.
Oh, yeah. From Little Nero's.
Yes. Anyway, there's a lot of questions I have on this movie.
By the way, pizza prices really haven't gone up that much since that time, have they?
No, not really. They've been about the same.
Yeah. That's kind of good. And pizza was overpriced in the 90s, I guess?
Maybe. I don't know. I would be really curious as to see, because I know produce has gone up. I know, well, I don't know if there's as many people who prefer to have pizza delivered to their house anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I know a lot of people who like to go to restaurants now and eat pizza. Us millennials. Very strange creatures.
Because we want to support local businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry, this is way rabbit trail off.
Yeah,
of the
no,
topic.
sorry. We are completely going off, and I went through my stuff a lot faster than expected. So,
yeah, our points of this episode of our podcast are: you should speak up, especially at Christmas time, especially now. You really should speak up, and this is something that we've been talking about a lot here recently with the Church 2 movement and the Me Too movement of abuse scandals coming out, and I think that's really important about where Home Alone is at, is that people should have believed Kevin. You know,
Yeah.
That, he was kind of suffering abuse from his brother, and they should have believed him about that.
Yeah. Well,
And the rest of the family was kind of being abusive. Like Uncle Frank, why would you call an 8-year-old a little jerk?
yeah. I don't
All
know.
he did was spill milk.
I think this very much has to deal with the way that we parent now, the way that millennials parent. Because I know a lot of parents who are our age are more concerned with emotional development than we used to be. Because it just wasn't a big deal, back in the 90s. It was more like you need to behave and not figuring out why are you misbehaving, but you just need to behave.
Well, you can also see this with the police as well in the movie, is that they don't believe the mom at all. So they're just like, oh, she's annoying, she's hyper.
Or like, he's fine, like, whatever, like...
Yeah, and this is something that I'm like, wait a second. Were we really like this bad in the 90s? Were we really like this? That, we didn't believe people? That, we were lazy, didn't send the police out to check on somebody who was home alone?
Oh,
that,
yeah, absolutely. Look how many, rape kits there's still, in storage that will never be tested because cops are lazy.
Yeah, and this is something that now, barely, just barely, an accused child abuser is almost won a Senate seat.
Yes.
And this is something that we're just barely now starting to believe, people who are abused, people who make these accusations. And I realize that we have a court system where you believe somebody is innocent until they're found guilty. But the problem is that's not the way the system works. Mm-mm. Is that we see people as guilty before they're even put in on trial, especially if they're a minority.
Yeah.
And they even make it to court. Yeah. Then they're seen as guilty before even, the whole proceeding goes through.
Well, and I think in the case of politicians too, if something like this comes out like it did, I feel like that I know that they're still innocent until proven guilty, but I also feel like that being a public official, they can't run unless they're proven innocent.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially
being a public official. Now, in terms of other cases, I don't think I would say that, but being a public official, serving the public, if you're so hard set on making sure that you're essentially the spokesperson for your area is not a criminal, then we should probably make sure that he isn't one before he's elected.
That's very true.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so now in closing, this will be one of our Christmas shorts. So we made that joke last week. Is that these are the things that are coming up. We have coming up It's a Wonderful Life next week. And unless you're listening to this on Patreon, then it's going to be 2 weeks. This will be New Year's Eve that we will be doing It's a Wonderful Life.
Yep.
After that, we will be doing our top 10 of 2017. This will be the top 10 episodes that we thought were our favorite over the course of the year. For instance, for me, I know that Shimmer Lake is one of my favorite episodes that we did. And it is a fan favorite, apparently, because it's one of the most listened to episodes that we've done. So that's cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Handmaid's Tale is probably one of mine, just because... we had a little bit of insight in somebody who actually worked on Handmaid's Tale, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so we're going to be doing that in 2 weeks from the time that this is published on our actual Spreaker hosting. Mm-hmm. After that, hopefully we will be getting to Thor Ragnarok and Star Wars, The Last Jedi.
Woo-woo.
Which we have not yet seen either of those movies yet. Hopefully we will be able to get a babysitter and be able to watch those over the course of the holiday season.
Yes.
And so you can find us on social media. If you've got anything to say, if you have your own top 10 list of your favorite episodes of ours that we've done this past year, or any points that we made this past year, please give us a call at 720-372-3879. You can also find us on social media and give us those things. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/Real Honest Faith. On Twitter, we are at Real Honest Faith. You can email us, honestfaithconvos@gmail.com. You can even text the number that we have just given you. Again, that is 720-372-3879. You can find us on Reddit. You can find us on Tumblr. I barely check those, but I do check them. So you can find us on there and give us feedback that way. You can find us on our website, thehonestfaith.com. Any way you find us, just find us. You can also find us on Patreon, and you may have found us already and listening to this episode early by finding us on Patreon.
So we would like to say thank you.
Thank you so much. So, with all that being said, we invite you to come and join the conversation.
Happy holidays!